So something that I've been thinking a lot about is this conversation around value. And you're probably thinking, well, what does value have to do with astrology and, building your business and things like that? And, I had a very similar thought, but let's kind of talk about it a little bit. So I was on a call with a client the other day and we were talking about manifestation. And we were looking at her second house, we were looking at her Jupiter placement, and we were talking a lot about beliefs, right? And if you know basics of astrology, you know that your second house is your house of money and finances and things like that. But our second house is also where we find self-worth. It's where we explore sensory experiences. It's where we find material comfort. It's where we find the things that kind of make up our comfort zone and help us feel safe. But the other thing that's really important to know about our second house is it's also our house of self-worth. And so a lot of times people think that self-worth is this idea of worthiness. But I want to take that a step further. It's also where we start to determine the value that we have kind of within our lives, within connections to other people. And time again, we start to associate the value of what we are and the value of who we are very often with what we have in the bank account, or very often with the abundance that we can share with other people, or the value that we perceive to have for other people. And so a lot of times we kind of go into this space of, I don't have value if I don't have the ability to exchange. I don't have value if I'm not creating, the comfort and material security that I've been desiring for my entire life. And the other thing too is when we don't understand value and worth for ourselves, we don't look at, the idea that investing in ourselves improves our value, right? And I think this is a conversation that needs to happen, especially when we talk like manifestation, right? If we look at Jupiter is all about our beliefs. And I'm sure so many of us who have struggled with manifestation, myself included, have recognized that we're really great at manifesting, lack. We're great at manifesting an abundance of stress, strife, worry, and the things that we don't want to see in our life. But because they're the things that we're focused on and that we're believing are showing up, or believe that are going to continue to show up, it really continues to reinforce our experience, right? It plays on that idea of confirmation bias. The more we see shit not working out for us, the more we actually think that shit's not designed to work out for us. And that couldn't be further from the truth. And so a lot of the conversation we have around value and manifestation is around this idea of how to create it, how to step into it, how to embody it. And so when we start looking at that, the question becomes, what value does this bring to my life? What transformation can this create for me? And so I was having this kind of argument in my head last night while I was in the shower, because I've been thinking about missing pieces in my business and missing pieces in my life. And for months now, I've been asking myself, well, what am I missing? What's not there? What am I not able to do? What's not happening? And so I was having this argument in my head last night after having that conversation with the client and kind of starting to think about value and what value looks like. And the thing that I realized is when we are business owners and we are selling things to other people, not only are we showing them the value of what we have to offer, it's about refracting and reflecting the value that they already have within themselves, right? Because one of the things that my own coaches that I work with are constantly talking about is that everybody has abundance, right? Sometimes it's an abundance of lack, sometimes it's an abundance of struggle, right? But everybody has the ability to experience abundance, right? So if we can experience an abundance of the shit we don't want to experience, it stands to reason that we should be able to experience abundance of what we do want to experience. And so I started thinking about, well, what's the duality? What's the frequency that's kind of out of whack here? And I realized that the frequency that comes out of whack there is how we perceive value when we are looking at ourselves and creating investments in ourselves. And I'm guilty of this myself, right? I think to an extent we all are. So when we start talking about value, right, when we look at a program that is, $3,500 that we can pay over 6 months, a lot of us look at that and say that's too expensive, it's too much, I don't have that money, there's not enough value, right? And we could see that program as super valuable, but because we don't see the value of ourselves, we start to doubt the fact that we could create the abundance needed to step into that program, right? I remember having a conversation with the universe before I stepped into my coaching program. Like, if this is in alignment with me and this is the thing I'm meant to be doing, please continue to show me the pathway to step into that abundance. Show me the way that I can, bring that money in. And I've had that conversation with the universe quite a few times. And it's like, hey, if this is still in alignment with where I want to go, show me the money. And so the universe has shown me the money. And then, we've gone down this path and we've had these conversations. And I started to kind of think about this more. And this morning I was thinking about how I've kind of sat on the back burner of some of the stuff that I wanted to do with the course, how I haven't shown up to the coaching calls over the last couple of weeks. And I went, what's going on there? And I realized that when I am sitting here trying to, earn the value and the value exchange in my launch process, what I'm doing is I start to go through this process of devaluation where I step back and think of my program as the value I'm offering instead of the value that I am offering in myself and reflecting back to my clients. So one of the things that I want to touch on, after what feels like about 6 minutes of random story and connection, is in order for us to effectively manifest, we have to understand that what we're manifesting is an extension of the value that we have as a human being. It is not that, we are abundant and things are already existing in other timelines. It's when we start looking at what we're trying to manifest, how is it going to continue to value, right? How is it going to continue to up what I think of myself? How is it going to continue to help me grow, shift, change, evolve, and become who it is that I am continually working towards, right? Because we're never going to be totally perfect and we're never going to be totally embodied in our higher selves because we're human beings. And so the question becomes, how do I continue to add value to myself that can continue to be a reflection to other people of the value that they inherently hold? So my challenge for you today is, where are you devaluing yourself? Where are you disconnecting what you are putting out into the world from who you are and making it totally separate from your value? And alternatively, if there are programs that you're looking to invest in, why are you worried about the value exchange? Why are you sitting here wondering about how value can be added or how you can create the value? What if the value is just a matter of embracing the fact that that value is already within you and attracting that value, connection, and exchange within? So today I'm going to go play with I'm going to call it a new manifestation tool. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to think about what value the thing I'm trying to manifest feels like. Like, how does it add to what I am doing? How does it help me grow? How does it help me step into more of who I am? How does it improve my self-worth and my self-understanding and the value of what I bring to the world? How is it going to reflect out to the people that I'm looking to serve? And so I would love for you to play with the same thing and maybe journal on where you've devalued yourself, you've disconnected from yourself, and you've equated worthiness with deserving something. Because one of my coaches said that this was a quote from Oprah. Oprah talks about, was in front of a live audience and said, hey, none of you guys deserve this, but all of you are worthy of it. So where have you stepped away from your own worthiness and actually stepped away from the inherent value that your soul and energy brings to this world? And I'd love for you to continue to connect and explore these kind of esoteric, intuitive, spiritual thoughts with me. And I'd love for you to just click that subscribe button so that you can see when my new videos come out. And with that, enjoy creating value in your life and exchanging that energy and growing and improving your manifestation practices.